dependence on imported products to end soon, says Buhari. Federal government directs timely completion of Lekki Seaport, wants railway to link to harbour. Enforce use of coins, House of Representatives urge Central Bank of Nigeria. African Development Bank signs $3.56 million pharmaceutical element with ECOWAS. Plus, Japan's Nikkei 225 closes 3% higher as SoftBank Group shares surge 7%. Details of this and more on the program today, and we are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. It's time to get to business, and we'll start by telling you that the Ministers of Finance, Budget and National Planning, as well as that of the FCT, have been directed to fast-track the execution of the second runway project for the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. President Muhammadu Buhari, who gave the directive while inaugurating the new international terminal building for the Lagos Airport, said the airport's concession program must also be carried out expeditiously.
As part of its new aviation roadmap. Two of them for Abuja and Port Harcourt international airports have already been completed and put to use. The one in Kano has also been completed, while that of Enugu will soon be finalized. The new Lagos International Airport Terminal building has, amongst others, 66 check-in counters, 44 immigration decks, and 8 security screening points for enhanced operations and management services to 14 million passengers per annum.
Mr. President, I would like to respectfully assure you and the general public that the Ministry is committed to proper maintenance of all terminal buildings and will integrate them with the infrastructure to ensure that passengers and other users have pleasant experiences each time they make use of these edifices. Mr. President is aware of the recent chaos in the sector caused by lack of Jet A1. Flights were unduly delayed and or cancelled unpleasantly. I wish to use this medium to humbly request Mr. President to direct the NNPC to import Jet A1 in good quantities, as well as directing the Central Bank to allocate foreign exchange for the major marketers to sustain the supply.
This aviation terminal will elevate the international image of Nigeria, more profit to the business and more benefit to the people.
President Muhammadu Buhari takes pride in the fact that the continuous investment in the building of long-lasting infrastructure by his administration in the aviation and other critical sectors of the economy is yielding massive results, and Nigerians tremendously benefiting from the associated dividends.
With the delivery of this project, a new era of safety, security, and comfort has been ushered into the Nigerian aviation industry, and I am persuaded that it will get better with the passage of time.
And determined to ensure that the unprecedented growth in the aviation sector is not stunted, the President insists that the airport concession program be speedily executed, so also the second runway project for the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja.
The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning has been directed to source sufficient funding for the project, while the Minister of FCT is directed to conclude the tie of the approved 12,000 hectares of land to accommodate the runway and other development projects.
President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed the conviction that his administration's drive towards achieving self-sufficiency in food production in the country will be enhanced as farming gets value addition with the expected rise of new breed of entrepreneurs. This was while inaugurating the new $2.5 billion Dangote fertilizer plant in Lagos, described as Africa's largest granulated urea fertilizer complex and the second largest of such plants in the world.
The coming upstream of the plant will create significant wealth, reduce poverty, and help in securing the future of our nation. I highly commend Alhaji Aliko Dangote, who helped to rebrand Nigeria through his mega investments across Africa. I am proud of his contribution to affirming Nigeria's leadership status in the continent.
The Dangote fertilizer plant inaugurated by President Muhammadu Buhari on Tuesday with a nameplate capacity of 3 million metric tons per annum is raising expectation of many Nigerians, and farmers are most likely the most excited. The urea and ammonia fertilizer plant is the biggest of its kind in the world, combined with a 650,000 barrels per day oil refinery in the same area. The two projects are said to have a combined worth of $17.5 billion. Bala Zaka, an oil and gas expert, joins us virtually from Lagos to project the economic potentials of the two investments. Hello, Mr. Zaka. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Mr. Zaka. Are you with me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you very well.
How is Lagos this afternoon?
Lagos is fantastic. Lagos is bubbling. People are happy with the
development
commissioning of the fertilizer plant yesterday.
Yes, let's go straight to the issue of the fertilizer. The Dangote fertilizer plant, inaugurated by the president just yesterday, like you just mentioned, has been described as Africa's largest granulated urea fertilizer complex and the second largest of such plants in the world. What does that really mean for Nigeria and perhaps Africa?
It means a lot for the positive image of Nigeria. It means a lot when you talk about food sufficiency, because we've been talking about this all along. When people were saying fossil fuel has no value, some of us said fossil fuel has so much value, because what we are talking about has even nothing to do with crude oil. It has nothing to do with condensate. We're just talking about natural gas here, because we have always said from natural gas, you will get ammonia. From ammonia, you will get urea. From urea, you will get fertilizer. That has crystallized today. And the same gas can be used to drive gas turbines to generate electricity. And once you can even generate electricity, you will not be bothered about generators. You will not be bothered about subsidy. But we are very happy with the initiative of Dangote. We are proud about it, but we need more Dangotes in food processing. We need more Dangotes in automobile. We need more Dangotes in health. And we need more Dangotes in so many areas. Because what that will do, first of all, is it will make Nigeria to stop importation. And once we stop importation, we will conserve foreign exchange. That was what we have been clamoring for. And we are happy for this initiative of Dangote.
Okay, Mr. Zaka, having enumerated those numerous benefits from energy sufficiency to agriculture and the entire value chain, do you see this one helping to achieve the much needed self-sufficiency in food production for the country?
Yes, under one condition, because at the moment, a lot of farmers, regardless of where you go to, whether in the eastern part of the country, in the northwest, in the northeast, in the central parts of the country, are experiencing security concerns. Many of them cannot go to their farms. Just imagine a situation where you have 1 million farmers who cannot access their farms. assuming each of these farmers can cultivate 10 ridges of harvest, but because of insecurity, they cannot go to the farms. That means Nigeria will be losing about 10 million ridges of harvest. So once we can do something about security, that aspect will be taken care of.
Okay, like you mentioned earlier on the issue of reduction in importation as this particular factory takes off. Nigeria has been a major importer of fertilizers. Aside solving the food insecurity, which you've mentioned, do you see the plan helping in reducing importation? I know your answer will be yes, but how far can that go?
It will go as far as possible. But please, one thing we need to do and accept as Nigerians is that anything that is a private initiative, we should understand that the owner of that private initiative got capital, and capital comes with what we call interest or cost of capital. So to some extent, the owner will need to recoup his interest, capital, and pay interest so as to remain in business. But fundamentally, the fact that we are going to cut off importation, the fact that all the ancillary services will be provided here is enough. Because every time you import, there is the cost of importation, the cost of vessel, the cost of insurance, the cost of demurrage, and so many ancillary costs. So the fact that we are internally domesticating will free us from exchange rate pressures. But because it is a private
Okay, Mr. Zaka, it seems we are having a glitch there. But in case you can hear me, okay, well, I think we'll continue. We'll get to rejoin Mr. Zaka there later on. Moving on, the House of Representatives has urged the Central Bank of Nigeria to reinforce the use of coins as a legal tender and ensure that banks comply with the use of coins for the fullest. Members of the House had at plenary on Tuesday unanimously adopted the motion moved by a member, Muda Umar, titled Call on Central Bank of Nigeria to reinforce the use of coins as a legal tender in Nigeria.
Injecting lower denominations and coins into the economy will go a long way in curbing price inflation and stabilizing the economy.
And now the revenue mobilization of Nigeria and Niger Republic can be improved if the revenue authorities of both countries work together to deepen their relationship, share tax information, and engage in mutual administrative assistance. A statement by Special Assistant to the Executive Chairman, Johannes Oluwatobi, stated that the Executive Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mohamed Nemi, said this while receiving his Niger Republic counterpart, the Director General of the Niger Tax Authority, Osman Mohamed, and his delegation at the headquarters of the FIRS. Mohamed Nemi noted that it was important for the FIRS to work with the Niger Tax Authority given the presence of high net worth Nigerian individuals and companies trading in Niger. He stated that there was the need for further cooperation in the areas of sharing of tax information and mutual administrative assistance, especially in the phase of increase in transborder tax within the context of ECOWAS and the AFCFTA. Nemi also stated that the service has evolved into a data-centric organization leveraging on data in revenue forecasting, planning, tax policy formulation, and driving compliance enforcement. And now the Australian dollar marched higher and the Japanese yen continued its slide on Wednesday as markets turned more positive on riskier assets and high commodity prices drove development. Still talking currency, Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has assured Nigerians of commitment by the monetary and fiscal authorities to address the energy crisis that has adversely taken toll on individuals and the country with consequences. Leah Katumba Batunde has that report.
Like you all know, we've disbursed over 1.3 trillion naira in the last 5 years to support both the generators or discos, or to acquire equipment, or to buy meters, or to even improve what is being paid to electricity generating companies so that they can continue to pay for their gas, and then the system can continue to operate.
It first started with premium motor spirit, known as petrol, when late January the NNPC revealed it had received a report on the presence of emulsion particles in cargoes shipped from Belgium. But that is not the only concern, as Nigeria has failed to meet our OPEC quotas, which is attributed to theft. It combined with the global oil supply crisis to introduce diesel shortage to the bag of concerns that have now deepened the nation's power crisis. Governor Emefiele says the bank is working with fiscal authorities to prefer a solution that will last.
They're also saying we'll be engaging NNPC as well. If there's any kind of intervention that we can provide to help it, make it easy for them to bring in these products, so that this shortage can stop, then we will see that when supply increases and people are relatively confident that when they sell whatever they are holding in petrol or diesel stuff, that they can easily go and replace them, then the arbitrary price increases will reduce.
With support targeted at addressing the nation's energy and power crisis, the CBN is optimistic the concerns will wane soon and Nigeria will return to the path of sustainable growth.
And still on energy, oil prices rose on Wednesday as a reported drop in U.S. crude inventories increased concerns about tight global supplies amid the hit to Russian exports from economic sanctions. Brent crude futures climbed $3.17 to $118.69 per barrel after falling 14 cents in the previous session. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures stood $2.73 higher at $112 a barrel after losing 36 cents on Tuesday. The market remains on edge over the prospect of further invasion of Ukraine. Up next is the commodities market. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, is partnering consumer protection groups to raise the level of consumer education in the country in line with global best practices. Infringements of consumer rights and pronounced inadequate knowledge of rights is a driver of this new initiative.
It's a collaborative effort. It's something that we have to do together to educate Nigerian consumers on their rights and their responsibilities as well. Once you educate consumers, they will know their rights and their responsibilities.
There are things we hear happening against the consumer or consumer abuses in the market, and nobody tells us until a consumer complains. But I feel that if they are up and doing, they'll be able to see some of these things and be able to give some information to the Commission.
And now, Japan's Nikkei 225 closes 3% higher as SoftBank Group shares surge 7%. Neka Oko takes it from here.
European stocks were little changed on Wednesday as global markets continued to assess inflation concerns and Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The DAX slipped 0.28%. The CAC 40 of France also dropped 0.23%, while London's FTSE topped 0.3%. Elsewhere, stocks in Japan led gains among major Asian markets on Wednesday. The Nikkei 225 advanced 3%, closing at 28,040.16. The Shanghai Composite topped 0.34%, and Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index climbed 1.21% to 22,154.08 basis points. U.S. stock futures dipped in early trading as investors continued to digest revelations from the Federal Reserve on inflation and interest rates. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was down 0.3%, S&P 500 also lost 0.37%, and Nasdaq 100 dipped 0.42%. Major stocks in Africa, including South Africa, drifted lower this Wednesday despite the removal of COVID-19 restrictions that have weighed on the country's struggling economy for 2 years. The JSE Africa Top 40 lost 0.22%, Tunisia's Tunidex slipped 0.03%, and Namibia's overall index dropped 0.04%, while Kenya and Ghana were the relative outperformers, gaining 1.11% and 0.01% respectively. And that's Global Market Review.
And back home in Nigeria, midweek trade on the Nigerian equities market closed on a positive note as the NGX All-Share Index advanced market capitalization rose to 25.418 trillion naira as investors in Nigeria also weighed the situation in Ukraine. 267 equities exchanged hands by investors in the day valued at 3.215 billion naira in 4,099 deals. On that note, we end this episode of the program. Don't forget, you can access all previous episodes on YouTube. We value your feedback. Do join us again tomorrow.